Hi, I'm John Milikowsky. What happens if you got a PPP loan and you're now concerned, well, I got the loan, I had it forgiven. Do I need to keep records? The answer is yes. So if you applied for PPP 1 or PPP 2, then you should keep your records. Even if it was forgiven, you should keep your records for a minimum of 3 years. And we recommend even up to 7 years. And the reason is because although the loan was reviewed when you got it, and again reviewed when it was forgiven, assuming you had a forgiven loan, the PPP loan, it doesn't mean it doesn't prevent SBA or any other government agency from coming back and asking, well, we want further proof that you were justified in receiving the initial loan, that you had a hardship, and that to provide, and the information you provided, the financials were actually accurate, right? Because those financials will now go on a tax return. So the 2020 tax returns would have now been filed. And if you got PPP2, which came out in 2021, those tax returns are going to have to be filed in 2022. So it doesn't mean that the IRS or the SBA can't later come back and say, hey, let's match up the financials you provided to SBA to get that loan with the actual tax return. So there's many justifications and reasons you want to keep it. Generally, IRS opens examinations or audits for 3 years, within 3 years of the date the return is filed. So if you filed an extension for your 2020 return, then by October 15th, 2021, you're going to file your 2020 return and so forth. So definitely keep it for at least 3 years. I would recommend 7. But overall, if SBA did approve the forgiveness, there is justification for them to come back later on and ask questions. So what I would do is keep a file of all the financials. If you did it yourself or you hired a bookkeeper, and especially if you hired a bookkeeper, make sure that the bookkeeper can write a summary of the facts, any assumptions you made, all the documents relied upon, whether it's bank statements, your W-2s, your payroll. If you're a sole proprietor, you were entitled as part of that PPP to get a percentage of your net income from the prior year. So you want to have your tax returns and maybe your profit and loss statement for each year. Those are some helpful tips. On the EIDL side, similar situation, right? If you applied and got an EIDL loan, do you now have to, years later, prove that you were entitled to that loan? Well, yes, because if you didn't have a hardship, you wouldn't have applied for it. And also, the documents that you provided to SBA to get the EIDL loan, there was an amount that they granted you. It was based upon facts and documents you provided. So you're going to want to keep those documents as well. And any correspondence you had with SBA, or for the PPP, you would have went through a bank. Make sure you keep the correspondence for those. And one kind of a red flag that your file might be open for an audit by SBA is if you receive any communication from the bank saying, hey, we need further documents and information. We had some questions about your original application. And that can come, even though it's been forgiven, it can come later on. So those are some helpful tips, hopefully, that will steer in the right direction and prepare the files now so you have it and that you could later on rely upon that. I'm John Milikowsky, founder of Milikowsky Tax Law. Hope the information was valuable.